This lens didn't just change my photography, videography, or anything that I do with the camera. It kind of changed the way I create forever. This is the Canon 50mm f1.8. By far one of the most affordable camera lenses still to this day. The one that truly kickstarted this whole journey that I'm on. Back, this is 2015, 2016. That is when I first picked up a camera. Barely kind of understood what focal lengths were or aperture in general. All I knew that blurry backgrounds made photos look more professional, and my stock kit lenses that came with the camera, my first camera that I was shooting on, and I quickly learned that it had a stop at f4. That's when I found this lens, which meant sharper images, beautiful bokeh. I finally figured out what that term meant in my journey, and for years after I got it, that was the only lens that I used. I learned how to adapt and kind of shape my creativity around what I had. Eventually, I did upgrade, basically to its brother, 50mm f1.4. And to this day, both of them still stay with me. Its brother, f1.4, I still use to this day. I even bought an adapter just to keep using it on my current Sony, my current A cam. I wouldn't call this a gear review video like my other ones that I've done on certain gear. I'm not here to sell you this lens. I'm here to kind of share my story behind what it means for me and basically how it kind of shaped me to get me to this place that I currently am at. This is how. The real lessons weren't about like aperture or focal length. It almost became my teacher. It was a way about how I started to see the world and to see things through it. I didn't start out understanding how to compose a compelling image. I wasn't thinking about light direction, subject isolation, or leading lines of any sorts whatsoever. It was a lot of trial and error and just having fun with it and figuring it out as we went. That's kind of how I would sum up my earlier work. It was very, very experimental. I didn't know at the time what a prime lens even was, right? Didn't realistically understand that my focal length was stuck at the 50mm range. Can't alter it, I can't zoom, I can't do anything about it. Feeling limited in the beginning allowed me to almost stick to one lane and commit to one lane and rewired the way I create and how I was developing to create. 3 ways it kind of did that. The first way is forcing my perspective. So without a zoom, I couldn't just stand still and adjust my frame. I had to physically move in, step in, change my angle with my physical body by being forced into a certain perspective on how the camera viewed it in this focal length and with this particular lens, and then translate that on how I wanted to showcase that. Second thing, depth as a tool and not a gimmick, right? Of course, I got a prime lens that shoots at f1.8, so I knew I wanted to always shoot my photographs at that aperture, right? Blurry background equals professional. That's so easy. It's so easy a baby could do it. You know what I mean? Depth isn't just about isolation. I learned kind of when to embrace that blur and when to stop it. That was the second like lesson. Third one is kind of the art of restriction. I keep talking about it being a fixed focal length. It's a prime lens, so you're stuck there, and things like that. I feel like creativity at times doesn't really thrive on endless possibilities. It's good to have limitations because you can have millions of roads to go down. If you're so paralyzed in order to make a decision on which one to go down, you'll stick at that crossroad forever. And for this case, this 50mm lock of focal length, it locked me into a single perspective, and that taught me how to be decisive. That taught me to refine my visual instincts, focus on the more important things like storytelling, substance, and what I'm trying to portray over its like technical perfections. Made this lens more than just what it was, a lens. It was almost like a teacher, and also my training grounds in the beginning, especially as I was learning how to get better and better. The most important part of this video and what compelled me enough to make this video to showcase the story on behind this lens, it almost built and helped me discover my own style without me even realizing what was happening. Over time, like this lens became more than just like a piece of gear. It became literally the filter through which I saw the world. I was creating things through, almost just an extension of myself. Once I started to get more confident in my abilities, in my execution with them, on bringing these ideas to life, it trained my eye, almost refined my instincts too, and made me better. The process of whatever photo project, video project I was doing, I was unconsciously developing my own style. Every single creative person talks about finding their voice, right? Like this vague, distant goal that one day you just wake up and it'll happen for you. It isn't something you chase. It's something that emerges from you, from the choices you make over and over again through every project, through every photo, through every video, because it's a piece of you. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about style. I was just thinking about how can I make this photo or this video the best way as I can and make it good with what I had. That repetition right there, the way I framed my shots, the way I played with depth, the way I adapted to constraints, limitations after I learned about them, of course, that's what became my signature, whether I saw it or I didn't. And to this day, sometimes I don't even see that. Sometimes I still feel that I haven't even found that yet, like my thing. Like my work isn't as stylistically unique as I want it to be. I'll hear someone say like, I knew this was your shot before I even saw your name on it, that type of thing. And that maybe style isn't about seeing it for yourself. And maybe you'll never see it, right? Maybe you will never feel it 100%. Maybe it's about like the patterns, the systems that you fall into, and the way your instincts shape your work without you even realizing it. This lens, the 50mm lens, kind of forced me to commit to one way of seeing for years. It's laid the foundation down for me when I start to create things. On the back end of things, I was shaping the visual identity for myself that has been and would follow me all throughout my journey. And to this day, I ran out of things to put the mic on, so we're sticking with the Yerba. Yerba, sponsor me. I'm your biggest fan. Please sponsor me. I'm your biggest fan, Yerba. Please. If you're just starting out, again, don't chase the gear, chase the creativity side. Focus on the things that would truly matter at the end of the day with every project that comes your way. The stuff that will give it the real substance that it deserves and will define it. To commit to one tool, push its limits, and let it shape your style. You may even hate it after a certain while. That's okay. That's completely fine. It might not be, at least you'll learn about the things that you might not like with being limited to one tool, whatever, if it's one lens, one camera, and things like that. That's as crucial to figure out than the good stuff, the things that you do like and all that sort. So I have a little challenge for you. Shoot an entire project using just one lens. In my most recent photo book that I made, my trip to Italy and Germany, this whole photo book, I took it on, funny enough, this lens, the Canon 50mm, its brother, the 1.4. I challenge you, like, it can be a video, it can be a photo series, a photo that can turn into a photo book, whatever it is. Just stick to that one focal length prime lens. It can be a 50mm, it can be a 35, it can be a wide, and see how it changes your approach. If you're not used to, if you're always used to having a zoom lens, just out of convenience. For this specific challenge, if you see it and it comes across your way, is to simplify it for yourself. Don't overthink it, have fun with it, push its limits, see what you can make out of it, and all that stuff. But also in the comments, also let me know what your first lens or your first camera you've ever had. Do you have that one piece of gear that you will never sell? There's no secret formula to it at all. Always making the best on whatever you have. That's why I will never sell this lens. I'm still utilizing it, and whenever I have an idea, it always starts at imagining it at this focal length as a foundation, and it develops further there. So this was the story of my first lens, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So with that being said, stay safe, always do what you love, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.